Breaking news to the Weather Center, folks. We have a tornado warning moving into Providence County right now. You can see the red box right here. I'm going to step back, walk you through the graphics, talk you through this so you won't see me for a few minutes. So the radar site is up in that direction. So we have winds in this direction, and then we have winds in this direction. What we call wind shear, and that is causing perhaps some rotation in the atmosphere right now. If you're watching this, you want to seek shelter immediately. Immediately get inside, get to the lowest spot in your house. If you do not have a basement, you want to find something like a bathroom. Doesn't have to be a bathroom. I say bathroom because you have a bathtub option there. But if there are windows in your bathroom, you would probably be best served finding another room that's in the interior portion of your house. As many walls in between you and the outside as possible. So leaves, branches being lofted up into the air and being picked up on one of the radar returns. So again, that's our correlation coefficient, otherwise known as our debris tracker. So 25 miles an hour to the east. What will that bring it to over the next, let's say, 20 minutes here as this warning is active? So Cherry Valley at 423. We're looking at Waldron Corners at 431. And should it make it that far, West Greenville at 435. The one, I guess you call it saving grace here, is that we're not talking about the most populated of areas. Fortunately, you can see it's west of the 295 corridor by a good clip here. A little bit more desolate out towards the western portions of Providence County. We will have to see, though, if this were to stay together as it approaches the 295 corridor, and then eventually, of course, you're getting into some very populated areas like we had with our last tornadic event out towards Johnston and getting into parts of North Providence. So depending on where you are, depending on where you're traveling to this afternoon, and if you have any kind of respiratory ailment or difficulty breathing, you need to consider either staying indoors altogether. If you have to head outside, an N95 mask is a very good idea. But there are some maroon circles down towards New York City. Incredibly hazardous air. This stat just blows my mind as someone who grew up in the New York City area. 355, the current air quality index down in Manhattan. That is the worst measured air quality index in the entire world at this hour, folks, beating out places like China and India that are known to have less than stellar air. Look at how thick this smoke plume is right over that area. And again, we're right on the cusp of it here in southern New England, but you go a little bit further north up towards areas like Boston and Portland, the air gets significantly better because you're closer to that upper level low that is spinning overhead. And we are completely at the mercy of the wind flow with this upper level low. Taylor Swift is coming to town. Are you ready for it? So we know that New Englanders, they're going to be storming Gillette Stadium like it's the gold rush this weekend. But unfortunately, storming could be literal for at least one of the nights. And at this point, the models seem to know all too well that Friday and Saturday will be dry. But Saturday, I should say Friday and Sunday are going to be dry. But Saturday is looking like trouble. And yeah, looking at Futurecast here, it doesn't take a mastermind to see that wet weather is likely at least at some point. So here is my fearless forecast. And listen, I'd love to just leave it a blank space. You put your own numbers, you put your own icons in, and you make up your own weather. But unfortunately, this is what we're going with here, folks. Friday, mostly cloudy skies. In fact, skies will be increasing with clouds. It should be a pretty nice night. Saturday, sorry to sound like an anti-hero here, but I'm not the problem. I don't mean to be mean. It's just doing my job, all right? And the rain could be heavy at times, but the precise timing of the brunt of it, it's still up in the air, so we'll hold out hope that it lightens up at some point for the concert. And the temperatures are going to be in the mid-50s all throughout the weekend. That means you can probably get away with just a cardigan or maybe a light jacket. But Saturday, you're going to need that poncho. Why do we keep having these wet weekends? Remember, we haven't had a fully dry weekend, Saturday and Sunday, since Labor Day weekend. So what's going on? Well, we have to go up. We have to go to the upper levels of the jet stream to really figure out what's going on. So here's our storm system the current weekend, but we're going to keep going to a polar view. We call it a synoptic view. It's just a large-scale weather view, so you can kind of see everything going on. We're going to go to the pole view here, and you can see in a pretty consistent pattern, almost like a star or a pentagon, you can see 5 little areas here of storm systems, and they're all following a pretty consistent cadence or rhythm. And that's something that can be very, very difficult to break. But until it does, we're going to continue seeing these coming along, and they just happen to be on a schedule that brings them over us over the weekend.